My clothes have been fitting tighter lately and not in a good way, so I've decided to hop on the Ultimate Diet 2.0 once again. This is a diet that I've had a lot of success with in the past, and I thought it would be helpful for people to take them through a full day of eating for the low carb portion of the diet. I noticed that there's not a lot of first-hand experience with the diet, so for people who are interested, I think this will be very helpful for them. So for those who don't know, the Ultimate Diet 2.0, popularized by Lyle McDonald, is a form of carbohydrate cycling. So there's a low carb period followed by a high carb refeed period. You cycle back and forth between the two until you reach your goal. The low carb period can last anywhere from 4 to 5 days all the way up to about 2 weeks. And that's determined by your level of body fat leading into the diet. If you're a person on the leaner side, I would say anywhere between 10 to 15% body fat, or I suppose even lower if you're trying to get into contest shape. For men, you want to be more in that 4 to 5 day range. If you're someone who is overweight or obese, you can really push that low carb portion in that 10 to 14 day range. And of course, there's everything in between. What's interesting about this diet is that it's actually designed to be used in conjunction with a certain style of training at the gym, which I'll go into more detail later after I finish my workout. But basically, the purpose of this low carb period is to deplete muscle glycogen and liver glycogen as much as possible. And this is basically just the stored form of carbohydrate in your muscle and in your liver. The theory behind this is that the faster that we can do this, the more quickly and the more efficiently we can tap into our stored body fat. So you may be thinking, well, that sounds great. Why even do the refeed at all? Why not just extend this low carb period for as long as we can until we hit our goals? As you know, with dieting, your body will eventually fight against you. You'll experience hormonal downregulation and your energy will be getting low as well, not only in the gym, just in everyday life, your mental clarity, etc. So the purpose of the refeed portion, which by the way, is not a cheat meal, it's not a cheat day. This is a very thoughtful process where basically your fat and your protein macros remain the same and you just bump up your carbs. So that's where a lot of people get this wrong. They go crazy for the refeed, they spill over, they put on a bunch of body fat. It completely defeats the purpose of the low carb period. So what the refeed does is it resets all those hormones that were down-regulated during the very strict dieting phase. So we're talking about testosterone, thyroid, etc. Another thing it does is it replenishes the muscle glycogen that was lost in that low carb period. So now we're not just catabolic all the time, right? Like we're not in the gym just breaking down muscle. We have this refeed in order to refill our glycogen so that our training is better and we're not in this consistent catabolic state. You get a bit of a metabolism boost as well with the refeed, but that is very short-lived. It's really more about the hormonal and the training aspect of it. So for the low carb portion, my macros for today will be 180 grams of protein, 50 grams of fat, and 50 grams of carbs. That's total carbs. That's not any net carb nonsense. That is total grams of carbs for the day. I typically don't wake up too hungry, so I'm going to start my day with this protein shake called Nuri. I found this at Costco about a month ago. It's awesome. It tastes great. The macros are awesome. It's 30 grams of protein, 3 grams of carbs, and 2.5 grams of fat. So you might ask, why not just use like a whey protein isolate? I don't tolerate whey protein well at all. It crushes my stomach, unfortunately, so I have to look for alternatives like this one. So by all means, if you are fine with whey protein, go with a whey protein isolate, go with a hydrolyzed whey. These are typically the leaner forms of whey. If you use a whey concentrate or a whey protein blend, I'd be curious to check the nutrition label for the carbohydrate content on those proteins. It might be like in the 6 to 8 gram range, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when we're working with carbohydrate totals this low, we really have to be meticulous with our carbohydrate counting. So if you're having 2 scoops of that protein, it could be upwards of 15, 16 grams of carbs, which is about a third of your carbohydrate macros for the day. So it's just something to look out for. It's something you'll learn as you go. The biggest key to success on your diet is going to be preparation and convenience. So I have these hard-boiled eggs already cooked, already peeled. We're gonna have 2 of these along with, yes, this is a ketchup packet. It's just easier to measure that way, especially when you're on the go. So these 2 eggs are going to be 8 grams of fat and 12 grams of protein. The ketchup's gonna add about 3 grams of carbs. Should I get the sugar-free variety? Probably, but you know, this was free. free. I took this from the grocery store. You can't beat free. So altogether, we're looking at 8 grams of fat, 12 grams of protein, and 3 grams of carbs in this meal. All right, post-workout, we're sitting down for this video because I'm pretty tired. It was a pretty good workout. Pre-workout, we had a Ghost energy drink, which is 1 gram of carbs. Seems like nothing, but I want to account for everything. And post-workout, we had another Nuri shake, which the macros I gave you for earlier. You're just having the same stuff all the time. Yeah, man, this is a diet. It's not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to have a ton of variety. I'm just showing you how to get stuff done. But I want to touch on the training because it's really important, and you could really enhance a diet by training the right way. And to do this, we need a brief understanding of energy systems. You may know some of this already, but it's pretty straightforward. Your body has 3 energy systems: creatine phosphate, glycolytic, and beta oxidation. Stick with me, this is super easy to understand. Creatine is going to fuel the really high intensity stuff like sprinting. I'm talking about all out sprinting, the stuff that you can really only maintain max effort for like 6 to 10 seconds, right? On the other end of the spectrum is the beta oxidation energy system that utilizes fat for energy. This is like walking, hiking, really long duration stuff. Right in the middle is a glycolytic energy system, which uses carbs for energy. And the real sweet spot for this energy system are high intensity activities with a duration between 30 and 90 seconds. So how can you get the most of this in the gym? A mistake I was making was I'm someone who uses really like the 5 to 10 rep range for my exercises. And I was thinking, all right, I need to do higher rep work so that I'm getting into this 30 to 90 second range. And what I was doing was I was going too light with the weight because I guess I was underestimating how much I could do for that given rep range. So to get the best of both worlds, I just started doing a bunch of drop sets. So I use my usual working weight for first set, and then I drop it to, 50, 60% of that working weight and just keep going. So now I'm getting the high intensity stuff, and I'm getting the duration in that sweet spot that we talked about before. In fact, I timed one of my sets today for it was an incline bench press with dumbbells, and it came out to 70 seconds. So it was perfect. The intensity was high because I was super tired after it, and it fell right into that zone that we need to be in. A good cue for this is, it sounds silly, but just that burning sensation that you get after a really good set, that is a good indication that you're really tapping into this glycolytic energy system. So that's the way I was using my training. I'm doing full body workouts. You don't have to do it this way. You can use any split that you want. I basically alternate between full body workouts and cardio because this is in fact a cutting phase. I'm not too worried about trying to grow muscle. In fact, I'm probably not going to grow any muscle. I'm just trying to really maintain it, get the most out of these workouts in terms of depleting our muscles of glycogen and then doing cardio the next day. So that's the way I've formulated my training. You don't have to do it this way, but just giving you my recommendations here. Next meal is going to be 2 servings of Greek yogurt and a full serving of natural peanut butter. That's 2 tablespoons or 32 grams of weight. This is altogether 37 grams of protein, 16 grams of carbs, and 19 grams of fat. Actually, one of our more dense meals for the day. This is the best snack you could have on a diet like this. You may be familiar with the brand Chomps. I think this is way better. It is a buffalo style chicken stick from a company called Field Trip. I'll put the link in the description. It is 1.5 grams of fat, less than 1 gram of carbs, and 10 grams of protein for this stick right here. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. Last meal of the day here, we have a salad with 5 ounces of lettuce, 2 ounces of cucumber, 4 ounces of Trader Joe's chicken, and 1 ounce of cheddar cheese for a total of 34 grams of protein, 11 grams of carbs, and 14 grams of fat. Let's wrap it up. Okay, so the final tally for the day is as follows. We hit 152 grams of protein, 40 grams of carbs, and 48 grams of fat. So we're actually below goal on all 3 macros, which is not a bad thing because the protein wasn't egregiously low. That's something you definitely want to make sure you hit close to your goal on. But as far as the carbs and the fats go, this is a restrictive diet. We're trying to be as restrictive as possible within reason. So if we're below goal, that's totally fine there. I just threw this into my FitnessPal, so if you're tallying by hand along the way, it might be off by a gram or two. Sometimes my FitnessPal breaks things down to the decimal, so it might be off a little bit there. So what I'm gonna do moving forward is probably stick with this for a 4 to 5 day period. And at this point, I can kind of determine myself if I need the refeed or not, or if I wanna push the deficit a little further for another couple of days. So for the two of you that remain watching, if you're interested in what the refeed looks like, please leave a comment below. And leave a comment below if you have any questions about the diet. I gave a basic overview of it, but there's a lot of details that you can go into. I didn't want the video to be too long, but I'm happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability. So really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe for more videos.